Alright, talking about Game of Thrones. Now, no more JRPG stuff. Now I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. And as we just completely 180 and pivot into the new thing, I've read all the books. I liked all the books. I know there's a lot of people, Feast for Crows is boring. You're an idiot because that book's great. Same with Dance with Dragons. Great book. Both of them great. I don't understand these people who read the other 3 books and thought those were great and didn't like those 2. I don't get it. Doesn't matter. So without spoiling it, oh shit. Without spoiling, while I put the giant spoiler plot line, first spoil it without spoilers. Talk about it without spoilers. This season was really good. Definitely a step up from previous season. The action was a lot of great stuff, a lot of good twists, a lot of good deaths, a lot of good stuff. Can't go into it more without that. There is a big problem with season 6 of Game of Thrones in that the dialogue really suffers, I feel like. Especially at the beginning, there's a lot of characters that just say dumb shit that I don't quite understand why are you saying that? And there's a lot of stuff with, what's-his-face, Braun, that it's like, oh, you just had him here so we can make a dick joke. Okay. I guess that's cool. I guess that's nice. I don't know. Is that nice for people? I don't think so. So that's disappointing, and I think that definitely harkens from there's no source material anymore for some of this. For a lot of this, actually. But so like a lot of the best lines or the best speeches and all that were because of they were taken from the book. And now they're not here. And a lot of stuff that's with this season, which I'll get in with the spoiler part, is very different from the book, and in ways that still make me excited to read the next 2 books. There are people saying like, oh, I watched this season, why would I read the books now? Or I wish I had read this in the books. It's like, man, these scenes are going to be so much better in the book because the books just have that time. They have so many more characters, so many more events. There are entire plot lines that aren't in the show. There are characters in the books that are in vastly different parts of the world than where they are in the show, even at the start of season 6. So with that, and so I don't forget anything, spoilers. Let me move this down because the spoilers thing shouldn't be a giant. Maybe I should go up here. Would I recommend the show? I would recommend what I did with the shows and the books. As I move this up, right here. I've watched the first 3 seasons, and then I read the books, which is kind of weird. And by the time I finished the books, season 4 was over, and so 5 and 6 I've watched after reading the books. I would almost recommend that. I would recommend watching maybe the first season, and then if you really like it, read the books. Because the books add so many more details and things to it that you're going to be interested in and you're going to want to see. And it helps to have the show already. So you have an image in your mind. Well, I have a stroke of characters. So like, oh, Ned Stark looks like this. That's who this is. That's Jaime. That's Cersei. That's like all these characters. You'll have an image of them in your mind from the show already. So you know their names, as opposed to if you just started reading the books, you might be like, okay, well that's that guy. I don't really, alright, I guess he looks similar to, I don't know. You're gonna have a leg up in terms of that, because there are a lot of characters, but because I'd watched the show, I wasn't confused as much. I was like, oh, that's that guy. Okay, I remember him. They've said his name, okay now. And actually, from reading the books, I definitely get more out of the show. There's like no scenes where I'm like, who's that guy again? I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so's brother. Yeah, okay. Like, I got that. There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of stuff. We're not really in spoilers right now. But I am going to spoil everything, so you should leave before I spoil the new season. Because, like, people start coming back from the dead, and, like, think people are killing each other. That's the whole appeal of it. is the shock value, which you probably heard. You know, of these events that happen, and if you don't know about them, it's awesome. There's stuff that happens in the books too that are incredible that aren't in the show at all. So, and I'm really disappointed by some of them because they could have happened this season, but nah, just don't have it. I'm like, all right, that's fine, but I was kind of hoping for this character to be a badass, and then you just killed him, and he was a super badass in the book. Like, why? Why? There's a lot of bad, especially with the books. There's two specific, let's just say, countries, the Iron Islands and Dorne in the show, that are handled so poorly in the show that they make them look stupid and uninteresting and horrible. But in the books, they're handled incredibly well and are actually fleshed out and interesting. It's definitely worth kind of doing both if you're super into it. You can get the books; they're not expensive. They're long, but if you're I don't know, not super lazy and don't mind reading, I don't find them difficult to read or anything like that. Maybe because I watched the show first. That could be it. But I definitely remember doing that. But now I'm going to start spoiling everything, so don't watch the spoiler part. Fates of key characters. What's this? Okay, whatever. Oh no! God, that's a lot of people. Yeah, if you want to watch the show, spoiling season 6 is not a good place to start. You could be like, well, these people, it's like completely different people that are dying, or I don't even know who the fuck these people are. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, though. Sorry to shoo you away, my only person paying attention. But I want to talk about these spoilers. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So it starts now, for your warning. Okay. So this first episode was good, and I think the show starts out on a very, very good note. There's a lot of people dying in it, kind of excessively, to the point of like, oh, this scene, let's just kill this person. And then it cuts to the next scene, and then they'll kill this person. Like, all right, okay. Could we space these out a little? It seems like you're just killing a bunch of people for no reason, without a lot of context, especially with Dorne. There's several, what's his name? Well, Trystane, and then Doran, and Hota, which is awesome, and you just kill him, and he's a badass warrior, and he just dies, like, super instantly. Fucking bullshit. Bullshit. How could you? He like jumps off a horse and slices a dude's head off in the book. Incredible. Where's that in my show? Where's that cool scene? No, maybe he wasn't on a horse, but he definitely did some cool shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. A lot of Dorne stuff happens there that's not explained, and if you've read the books, you kind of like, oh, okay, I could see this happening with a couple characters that aren't in the show. Well, one, Ariane, or it's Doran's daughter, who isn't in the show. It's a mess. It's a giant mess in my brain now too. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this, and a lot of this beginning stuff starts with Jon Snow. So like everyone knew Jon Snow was going to come back. It was so obvious, even from reading the book. Like how Dance with Dragons ends is literally Jon Snow stabs death, and then an epilogue. An epilogue, which by the way kills a character that only just died at the end of this season. So it's kind of like a weird timeline thing going on here. So, what? Play with my hair. There's fun stuff with Ramsay, which again is better in the books. Whatever. We have some problems. This is where things start really splitting from the books, with Brienne meeting Sansa. Sansa, or however the hell you want to say any of these people's names. I don't even fucking know. I don't even care. Because Sansa is in the Eyrie still, floating around there in the books. She was not married to Ramsay in the books. That was Arya. But not Arya. It's Jane Poole, Sansa's friend, pretending and forced by the Lannisters to be Arya. Which is much more interesting and leads to a much more horrific bedding scene. If you thought that rape from last season was bad, in the book, I was reading it going, this straight up ain't gonna be in the show. This is not how it's gonna happen, because it's twisted. It involves Reek getting involved. Put it that way. So that's neither here nor there. I think in the book, Sansa's gonna show back up with the Eyrie Knights of the Vale army with Littlefinger to help take back Winterfell. We'll get back to that. That's where she's gonna show up and join up with Jon Snow. That's how it has to happen. Because otherwise it's gonna be Reek and Jane Poole, and they'll probably go to the Wall. Maybe with Brienne. Like, someone has to explain to Jon what happened that isn't Sansa and get him over there. And it's not gonna be it might be Theon. Did I say Tyrion? Theon. A lot of names. So anyway, Ramsay kills some more people. Yada yada hula do. The Iron Island shit. In the books, it's very vague, but it is kind of alluded to that Euron is the one who killed the king, or King Greyjoy. But it's not shown explicitly, and you're kind of like, well, did he? No one saw it. And in the show, it's like, nah, he did it. Nah, and he's a dickhead. So much better than the book. This is another case of Dorne being just bungled in the show, where in the book, they actually talk about this. The King's Moot is a whole thing that happens. It's not just a bunch of doofuses on a beach just chatting. Not to mention, I don't remember where Yara, who has a different name in the book, which I forget at this point. I don't remember where she is, and certainly Theon isn't over there because he just escaped. Like how the events happen in the book is this Kingsmoot shit happens, and they like start traveling to Meereen, and then Theon escapes. So I don't know where he finds Yara, or how that works out, or if he even ends up over there with Dany. I don't know. This is exactly why I'm saying I'm still going to read the books, because how the fuck does any of this happen? I feel like the show is cutting a lot of corners and just tying people together, because the book has a tendency to split off characters. Like, oh, here's this guy. He's going way over here all by himself, and he meets a couple of new characters, and the show's not going to do that. The show is not going to add 5 new characters, young Griff, Papa Griff, Randa, Hippogriff, random priest lady. It's not going to add those characters, clearly. And people have said this does not bode well for young Griff and the entire plot line being meaningful to the plot. I think it's still going to be interesting. It's obvious he's not going to win, I guess, now, because he's not even in the show, unless he pops up out of nowhere. Also, I was kind of hoping for a Lady Stoneheart at the end of the season. We'll go back to that. So anyway, Iron Island's trash. They did not do a good job. Some of that stuff was cool to see, but they did not do a good job of it overall. It was like 2 episodes, and then they sail on boats, and I don't know. It was just whatever. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then we get, okay, so we have Dany's storyline, which was also too quick. She's dumping fire and killing a bunch of people. This season's moving. It's moving too fast for me. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like could have been, I guess maybe that's the wrong decision, but I would have dragged things along. I would have dragged things more along. Is that right? I don't know. But I would have done it. We got to see some we finally get to see. So overall, we finally get to see the origin of Jon Snow and his parentage, which I already knew and already figured out feels like 2 years ago now. That Ilyana and Rhaegar are his parents. So I think that would make him siblings with Dany or her cousin. I'm iffy. I'm iffy on that. I have to look at a family tree, but it's something like that. They're either brother and sister or half brother, half sister, or cousins. I think they're cousins though. It's a mess. So that was nice to finally see. I don't think those were handled super great. The actor they got to play young Ned Stark looks kind of goofy, but whatever, I guess. Was there young Robert? No, that would have been cool to see. They were fighting together. It doesn't make sense how Rhaegar would take someone to this tower and leave 3 people outside, and then you send a band of 3 people also to rescue them. I don't know. Weird. Then we get Rickon, who comes back. Osha's there. That's why they changed her name, because her name is Asha, I believe. Asha Greyjoy in the book. But they have Osha, so they changed her name to Yara, I guess. It's a fucking mess. It's a giant mess. And Podrick. That's the thing with this season, is like characters like Brienne or Sam, they appear for 2 episodes and then they kind of just disappear. Maybe they come back for another one and then they disappear again. Really underutilized. It's very weird. In a show that was book 1 is season 1, book 2 is season 2. And then it started splintering, where book 3 was 2 seasons. And then you get to season 5 and it's like combining 3 books together and mixing them all up. And now this one's all mixed up too, but it's finally ahead of the books. And I bet this basically takes us to almost the end of Winds of Winter. Except for some of the events already happened. Like, it doesn't even make any goddamn sense why it took Sam the entire season to get to Old Town, but Varys can travel from Meereen to Dorne and back in like no time at all. Is he taking a dragon there? Like, I don't understand how some of this stuff happens so quickly, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense. And Loras, well, I just see random names on the side here. Loras is sent to Dragonstone to take it back from Stannis, who is still alive at the time, and he gets hot oil poured on him, and he's in critical condition. Not arrested. This whole arrested thing, also, there's some more context in the book, and there's a lot of, it doesn't really get into it in the show, of like what they did. Like, could you tell me what they did? What did Cersei do? What did she accuse Marjorie of doing? Because I know what she did in the book, but in the show, was it the same? I don't even remember, because they never talk about it. They straight up have her locked up for the entire season almost, and never really say what she did. It's like, you want to confess to your crimes? It's like, and maybe they say adultery or something, but that was basically what Cersei did in the book, was set up all these witnesses to lie and say that they slept with her so that she would be some weird whore person. And then I forget, Cersei gets accused of sleeping around with Jaime and doing all this other shit. It's a whole mess. So I understand why they simplified it, because it's a mess. Okay. And then we get to hold the door at Hodor. This is where things get pretty interesting in terms of time travel and what exactly happened. Because it seems like Bran warged in a memory, warged into Hodor. Yeah. And basically gave him his name and ruined his life, thanks Bran. But I don't know what that means or what implications that could have, because if he starts being able to mess with time, it doesn't really make any sense. It actually creates a lot of loopholes. Or plot holes, not loopholes. It creates a lot of plot holes into, hey, Will, I am spoiling the shit out of Game of Thrones. So, and the books. So yeah. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I'm sorry. But I have to talk about people who died. Game of Thrones is amazing. You're always coming in here and talking about Orange is the New Black, which I'll get to one day. But Game of Thrones is awesome. And go read the books. Just go away and read the books. This sets up a lot of stuff for why didn't the three-eyed raven, if you can control time, if you're the three can not control time, but like manipulate it a little bit. The first fight, it took me a while until like 5 episodes in to get into the show, so I could see that. If he can manipulate time a little bit, even a little bit, like Bran does with Hodor, why didn't other things transpire? Or is this the best possible scenario? Like, did he already manipulate time enough to get it to this point, and this was the best possible scenario? That's interesting. That is very interesting to me. But will this be explained better in the books? Yes, it will, and I will understand what the fuck just happened. That's plot 1. We're only halfway through the season. Oh, jeez. Blah, blah, blah. We meet Sam's father, which we knew was probably going to happen. That didn't happen in the book. Yet. It might happen. It probably will happen in the book, but it might not yet happen. Also, what happened to Jorah? He just disappears. Also, straight up, Jorah does not have grayscale in the book. So, what's that about? He is at the end of the book. He and Tyrion are still slaves that were sold to some rich guy. And then they watch, like, in the distance, and Jorah, I think, jumps out to stop the assassination attempt weird thing when the dragon picks Dany up. So maybe he goes on an adventure, and that's still time, but they're in different places, is all I'm saying. And he doesn't have grayscale in the book. That is someone else. A character that is not in the show at all. The whole Tully thing with Blackfish and blah blah blah. I don't remember the Blackfish dying in the book, but he could have. That's tough for me to say. I don't remember. It does happen very easily in the book like that, where Jaime just kind of talks to a couple people and is like, "Can you guys just stop, please? Can you guys just stop being dumb?" And that's basically all Jaime does in A Dance with Dragons, which is fine with me. I enjoyed that. I don't have any problem with that at all. No problems. Blah, 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 blah. The Mormon, they go around. There's a lot of interesting things here, but I don't need to comment about everything. Oh, we got the Hound, who's back. Rumored, there's been speculation for years now with Dance with Dragons that was him. So it is him. What is he coming back for? People have been always saying, oh, it's the Clegane Bowl. He's going to fight the Mountain. Now I'm saying, since Cersei's not on trial, and Arya is back in Westeros finally, I imagine they team up. And they fight the Mountain and Cersei in some weird, convoluted plan. Otherwise, why bring these two characters back? It doesn't make sense for Arya to go to Winterfell. Maybe it does. But she's kind of broken and damaged. That's interesting. So that's the most exciting thing going forward, is what happens to Arya now that she's back. Does she return to Winterfell and all this shit? That's the most interesting thing. Alright. Blah, blah, blah. Brienne's here. Can I get the audiobook? I mean, you can. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm spoiling everything for you. If you don't remember anyone's characters' names, if you care. Battle of the Bastards is an incredible fight scene in it. it's an excellently done episode. I don't think them circling in that fight makes a lot of sense in terms of how long they held off. Like, you have them surrounded, just charge and kill them all. I don't know why you waited. That could have been done better. It didn't seem realistic. That's the only part to me that didn't seem realistic. Everything else was awesome. There's horses and shit toppling over and flying around. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Then we get to the end, which was a fantastic season finale. We got a lot of people dying. We got Dany finally going back to Westeros. That's great and all. But I can't help but wonder with the whole, what is it called, Dragonfire or something? I can't help but feel that blowing up the church and killing all those people wasn't an easy way out to get rid of them and to end a plot line, right? Because you have to understand who dies in that. The church leader man, whose name I forget, he's dead. Marjorie's dead. This causes the king, what's his name? I forget his name already. He's dead. He jumps out a window. Kevin, Cersei's uncle, who was the king of the hand and kind of took over and pushed her out of power, he's dead. Not killed that way in the books. Killed by Varys. So he's dead. Lancel Lannister, dead. What's his name from Highgarden, dead. And the other guy, who's already talked about earlier, dead. This is like 6 people all dead about the same event. And it seems like such an easy way to be like, all right, let's get rid of all of Highgarden. They're just destroyed, and now they're forced. It forces their hand to line up with Dorne, because they're not going to line up with the Lannisters now. She just fucking blew up their whole family. Their whole lineage is destroyed. There's no one alive, except for in the book, there is another brother who like was injured, and so he can't walk or something. I forget exactly what his problem is, but no one's like, he's not really a war guy. So, except for in the book, who the fuck knows? But that leaves that entire family in the show. What the fuck are you talking? Do you think George is gonna... George who? No, we're not. You get your Brexit out of here. It's all about Game of Thrones. This leaves Tyrell people all confuggled. Yeah, okay, I'm just reading this thing to make sure I have all the people who died. That leaves them without an heir, because she's obviously the only remaining person is too old. There's no one else, so that kills their entire family. But the house is still there, so she can side with Dorne. This leads to a lot of problems. There's a lot of shifting gears that happened here. The Lannisters have an agreement with the Freys, and the Freys, with Jaime's not really pleased with them, and no one's pleased with them. Everyone makes fun of them, because Walder Frey has been there for 800 years. He's like 105. They're just waiting for him to die. Oh, George R.R. Martin. Let me address the Freys first. So then with Walder Frey and his 2 sons, the closest heirs, dead, he's got a lot of heirs. A lot of them. That could just lead to like some weird Frey civil war. Who the fuck knows? They're all messed up. The Lannisters don't give a shit, so they're not really going to help. Especially since they're going to have to worry about Dorne and the Tyrells, who are now joined up. Not to mention that Dany is secretly coming from the side. Now we got Jon and Sansa up in Winterfell with the Knights of the Vale, and a pretty united North. Most of the North really do like the Starks, and they're pretty united. Now, especially the Boltons were the crazy ones, they're gone. You probably still need to go back to their city and sack that city, but whatever. They have to worry about the Night King and all that shit that's going on. because they're the first line of defense. And then we have the Freys, further south below them, they're all fucking about. And then we have the Lannisters have to do with Highgarden and Dorne in the south. And Dany from the other side, or really any side. And the Iron Islands, which are kind of off to the side, but really close to Lannisport, where the Lannisters are from. And they're another X factor in addition here too, because if the other party of the Iron Islands starts dicking around, Euron, not Yara and Theon, that's a whole shenanigans. A whole shenanigans, which is very interesting to me. Now, could they resolve this in 10 episodes? I don't want that. That seems quick. That seems rather quick. There are rumors about it being like 7 episodes and then 6 episodes, so 13. Still seems quick. Maybe the last episode's 2 hours. I'll be cool. I'm cool with that. But I don't know. This is less of a review and more of a plot summary at this point. But they did a great job. I do think the dialogue is kind of fucked. Will George R.R. Martin address the Brexit? No. Sure. He lives in New Mexico. I don't think he really cares that much. I have no idea who these people are. There are a lot of characters. And there are a lot of characters that are already dead that I didn't even mention. There's someone's character who died in season 2 that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot his name. It's Renly. Yeah, Renly. Are you making these people? I might as well be. I might as well be. Yeah, that is true. I might as well be. Some of them, you don't know. You don't know. They could have been made up. But I'm very excited to read the book. I really hope this book fucking comes out, though. Jesus Christ. George, put the book out, please. Please. Alright, what do you want to talk about? You got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes or I start making up more characters. I'll take the spoiler tag off. Where'd my mouse go? Oh no. I'm gonna look up, here we go. You can click on each of these episodes to see more information. There's a lot. Wikipedia is kinda out of control. I assume the audiobooks already exist. They're not in the Dothraki Sea. Oh yeah, they are. That's true. Hold on. I need to find a lineage. The heck? What's this? Oh, this is the Telltale. The book hasn't even been announced to have a date, so I imagine it'd be the same person, but I have no idea. I have no clue. Look at that, 2000, okay. 2000, then 2005, then 2011, and now we're gonna get to 2006? Or 2016, 17? Oh, jeez, please. Nephew, okay. Perfect. So yeah, oh, I guess the spoilers can go back up, but... Oh, yeah, I don't know how lineages work, do I? That wouldn't be cousins, that would be... Yeah, nephew. So Jon Snow would... It's like her aunt. He would technically be first in... No, a bastard wouldn't be. Well, no, he'd be trueborn. That's confuzzling.